Welcome to the Big Blue Radio Show, coming to you on Tulsa Community College's online radio station, The Grid, and on the Creativity Channel, Cox Cable Channel 21. I'm Lee Goodson, president of Tulsa Community College.
And I'm Greg Stone, provost of TCC's Metro Campus in downtown Tulsa. Our guest today is Dr. Valerie O'Brien, assistant professor of biology at TCC. And this summer, she led some of her students in a project that culminated in a national competition sponsored by the National Science Foundation. She's here today to tell us all about that competition and about research opportunities for students.
Dr. Valerie O'Brien is our guest today on the Big Blue Radio Show.
Dr. Valerie O'Brien, thanks for joining us today on the show. And I wanted to get right to some really exciting news that we've been so happy about and proud of you and your students of, and of Professor Mary Phillips from Southeast Campus. Both of you had students who were involved in the National Science Foundation Community College Innovation Challenge. Tell us about how that whole thing came about.
So one of the most interesting things to me about that was that I didn't know and Mary didn't know that either of us had teams entering into the competition.
Really?
And so it wasn't until we reached the semifinalist round and saw another Tulsa Community College team that had made it to the semifinals. We were like, what? There's another team? And Mary was like, what? You've entered? And which was really exciting to both of us. So for me, I teach honors nutrition courses, which I've been doing almost since I started here at TCC. And as part of the honors class, I have my students do an individual and group type of project. And that can take a lot of different forms, can end up with a service learning thing at the end or research during that part of the semester. And I saw this challenge, the advertisement, the request for proposals. And I thought, well, that would be an interesting way for my students to get into science, to do writing in the sciences, to develop and design an experiment. And so I asked them if they thought this would be something they might want to do, just prepare an entry for the class. And so they did that. I had 14 students in that class who prepared the entry, which included a 90-second video, about an innovation in using STEM, and they also had to do a written portion, and they broke up into groups and did all the research for this. And then 4 students were selected to go ahead and submit the entry after the semester was over.
And tell us a little bit about what the innovation was they came up with.
So the innovation they came up with, it was important to me that it stay within the purview of nutrition. And so one of the things that the NSF was interested in was food sustainability. And this is a big topic in our course, the importance of not only helping folks who live in food deserts, we're in one right here, we have several in Tulsa, but also dealing with the issues that are going to come up that go along with climate change and large-scale agriculture. And so one of the solutions to that is to be more proactive about raising food locally. So the students came up with an idea to test a number of different types of treatments to create rooftop gardens in urban Tulsa. And they came up with a study design. They went out and interviewed folks in the community. One of the things that they had to do for the project was to find a community partner. And they talked to a number of charitable organizations in Tulsa and ended up with Iron Gate, which is an organization that helps folks that are food insecure.
So talk to us a little bit. It's quite a prestigious thing that you and Dr. Phillips have accomplished. So the National Science Foundation puts out the RFP for this competition, and people respond. And the RFP was only for community colleges, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so nationally, do you know how many applied? And then 2 teams from Tulsa Community College ended up in the top 10, is that right?
So this was the first year of this particular project. From my understanding, around 75 teams applied. And they selected 20 for the semifinalists, and then our teams were 2 of 10 selected to actually go to Washington, D.C.
Okay, so after you were selected in the top 20, was there another round of information that they had to provide? Was there more effort put into the competition after you were a semifinalist?
There actually wasn't a lot more that we had to do. We had to submit that we were intending to do it, but they pretty much went from that 20 and narrowed it
Wonderful.
down to the 10.
Yeah.
And then both of your teams went to Washington, D.C. for a week?
Yes.
Or a week or so, and to go to a boot camp. What was the boot camp experience like?
It was amazing. They just threw us right into it. And one of the things that was fascinating about it was that it wasn't what I had necessarily expected as a scientist. I thought it was going to be, well, how to do science experiments, but it turned out that it was truly what had been advertised, which was an innovation boot camp. So they had people from I-Corps, which is a branch of the National Science Foundation that helps scientists and folks in STEM take their ideas and bring them into potentially commercial fruition. And so they had venture capitalists and people that were involved in, we learned about value proposition design, which was...
So our students were interacting with venture capitalists.
Absolutely. They were interacting with the head of I-Corps that does all the training for I-Corps around the country. They interacted with program managers from the National Science Foundation. There are a group of people which I didn't know about called Presidential Innovation Fellows, and these are young, very motivated folks from Silicon Valley and other places like that have been working with President Obama to try to modernize our governmental platforms a little bit federally. And these are the bright and just motivated minds. We met one of the founders of the Wonderground app, and so it was a very, very charged and exciting atmosphere.
I would think in an honors nutritional sciences class that you would, what is your gender mix in a class like that?
It's actually, most classes that I teach have probably more females than males. Right. But in this particular case, I had a decent number of males, and but it was still more females. And this is a non-majors course. So this was a way that we were a little bit different than other teams that entered into this competition, because there were only, I think, 4 STEM majors out of 14 in the class. And so our eventual team ended up with 2 women and 2 men. The 2 men were STEM majors. One was a veteran who was involved in our EAC program.
Interesting.
And the other is now studying kinesiology with a goal toward physical therapy. Both were non-traditional age students. And then one was a graphic design major, and then another a sociology.
So they were taking their sciences.
They were taking their required sciences.
They were taking their required sciences to transfer.
That's right, absolutely.
Talk to us a little bit about women entering STEM fields. I remember I spoke with, there was a woman who worked in our information technology department, our IT department here at the college, not the academic department, just as a desktop technician. And she was saying it's really hard for women in technology careers, or most STEM careers. Nutrition would probably be an exception, but most STEM careers, it's less about what happens in the classroom and a lot about what happens once you get the job, that culturally, like for instance, IT guys, you know, we always think of the IT guy,
we do.
You know,
yes,
and
absolutely.
So talk to us a little bit about attracting women to STEM careers, and maybe how you have been attracted to the sciences and where you see that going.
I think that I started back to school late. I began here at Tulsa Community College when I was 40. And decided to go into this, and decided to pursue biology because I just tried to think of what I had always been interested in. It was always just being outside looking under rocks for bugs. And so it seemed like that would be a good choice then. I like to be outside and be dirty and look at animals. And so I thought that I would choose biology. And I was actually encouraged by a couple of, in this case, both male, instructors, professors here at TCC to go into college teaching. They both said, I think that might be something you might want to do. And it was from that I decided, well, then I need to pursue a PhD because that would be the terminal degree for that.
Right.
And it was, for me, something that just allowed me to pursue my passion. And the more I learned, the more excited I got. And now I'm almost insufferable. In the classroom, I just won't stop. But because I was older, I think, when I went back to school, I had more advantages in some ways. I kind of knew how to deal with life's challenges a little bit better. And but one thing that I did learn, I saw this myself, was that the more training that I received, the more the social dynamics changed in my interactions with folks. And it wasn't something that I had ever experienced before.
Mm-hmm. It was a new kind of status.
It was, and it didn't. It was surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't anticipate it. I've learned to deal with it now, but I'm much more, I think, empathic to what young women are dealing with. And I would like to say that it is not so much in education, but actually I think that what we're learning. There was a book that has come out recently about women in science that talks about why women don't continue, and maybe one reason that women don't continue to pursue it when they get to the employment level is that it's just been so long that they've been dealing with this sort of uphill climb. And one of the things that's been discovered is that females communicate differently and have different needs for feedback than males. And traditionally for males, studies would show that young males will tend to be irrationally overconfident in their declarations about themselves, whereas females will tend to, and this is of course just a generalization, but females will tend to need reinforcement. And that has traditionally been seen as a weakness in many mentors.
Right, not so much humble as a weakness.
Exactly,
right.
as directly a weakness.
And traditionally young men maybe have been encouraged to be confident.
Yes.
And so we see that as confidence.
Yes.
And so we have the same problem in STEM that maybe we have at the CEO level, or something
probably,
like that.
Probably very much the same.
Right,
And so,
same dynamic.
Yes, and for me, the way to deal with this, I hope, is that as we discover and understand this, that there are these, whether they're cultural differences because of rearing differences, or they're actually truly genetic differences, that we learn to recognize these things, we obviate them, and then we accept them and encourage, because we need women in all these fields. Computer science is an example where the number of women in computer science, which is a hugely exploding area, and has actually declined in the last decade rather than going up.
Wow.
And we need all hands on deck. We need people of all types that bring in lots of different things. Women can be incredibly creative and analytical and use both sides of their brain equally well, and we really need folks like that. So hopefully it will improve.
Well, we just have a couple minutes left, and before Dr. Goodson gets to the big question, I just wanted to briefly ask you about the topic in general. We've been sort of dancing around it, of undergraduate research.
Yes.
And how a lot of people don't really think about community college as a place where students engage in undergraduate research. But your NSF innovation program, Dr. Phillips and many other faculty members are proving that's the case. What do students or prospective students who might be listening or watching to the show need to know about undergrad research here at the college?
Well, they need to know that it's going on all over the place in lots of different disciplines, and it's increasing every year that I have been here. I think we have to broaden our definition of what is undergraduate research. For example, a classroom-based undergraduate research can be just as a legitimate a project as something that a student does independently. And so I think that as we go forward in the future, as we get better at communicating what's available to students, then that one of the examples is the honors program produces the undergraduate research workshop every year. It fills immediately. It has 65 openings and always has a wait list. And so students, when they become aware of it, want to get involved in it.
And those
There
are with
lots
our
of opportunities.
students. That's a workshop for our
Our
students.
students only, any student can attend, and every year, for the last 2 years, it has filled very, very quickly and has been.
And that's an opportunity in the fall or every semester?
In the fall. They've been doing it in the fall
Okay.
now for, I think this is the third year. We put that together, a group of folks, to make students aware of undergraduate research opportunities. One of the things I'm trying to do, at least on my campus and in my classroom, is to let students know of other internship opportunities. There are tremendous opportunities for minority students all over the place, and we need to be the conduit to make our students aware. And sometimes the main thing that we need to do and that students need to do is to recognize that they're better than they think they are. They can
Yeah.
accomplish more than they had maybe imagined.
It's about confidence. So much of it comes
really
back
is.
to confidence.
But sometimes what you need is someone else to look at you.
Absolutely.
I remember to this day, I got to Booker T. Washington High School, and an assistant principal sat down beside me and looked over at me, and he was going to plan my schedule, and he looked at me and he said, "Valerie, you're brilliant. Here are the courses you're going to take." Didn't I know that? I guess not. I needed to hear that. And so maybe that points to me being a woman, and that's okay. So as faculty, I think we need to be sure that we're reinforcing and encouraging all the time.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is the big question on the Big Blue Radio Show.
Okay.
If you had the opportunity to give advice to your 18-year-old self, what would it be?
I think the main advice that I would give would be, don't be afraid to take risks. Go outside your comfort zone. Dwell outside your comfort zone. Meet with people and interact with people that you had never thought you would. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Learn about things. Ask questions that you might not have thought that you could ask. This is the place to do it. It's a place of exploration and discovery of yourself, and you're given this time to do that. So get out there and take risks. And that's what I love about college, and that's why I never wanted to leave.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're glad you're here.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
Thank you for joining
That's
us
great
today.
advice.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's all the time we have for today, but we do want to thank our guest, Dr. Valerie O'Brien, Assistant Professor of Biology at Metro Campus, for being with us on the show today.
And thank you for joining us. Remember, you can find us every week online at The Grid, tulsacc.edu/thegrid, and on the Creativity channel, Cox Cable Channel 21. We'll see you next time.
Bye.